right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Urban Gardener. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button right down below. Follow along with more garden adventures as we continue growing here on The Urban Gardener. And as you can tell, it's snowing still here in Southern Oregon. It's actually some of the last bit of snow that we're probably going to get for the year. It's the last real big winter push for cold and, you know, ice and all of this sort of stuff. We've only got a couple of weeks until springtime, so there's a lot more growing, a lot more getting ready to get going on here. I just wanted to kind of spend this episode kind of going around and showing you a couple of the things that we've got growing here in our outdoor gardens here while it's snowing, and showing you some of the things during wintertime. But we're also going to spend some time indoors and talk about microgreens. That's something that we grow during the wintertime when it's really cold like this, to help supply some extra greens to our diet. And here in the Urban Gardener, I've been working the last couple of seasons just growing just a small essential microgreens. So all right then, let's get growing. We got a nice little snow layer forming here. It is late February, and we're getting a little layer of snow, a little cold coming. We're out here kind of checking out some of the things that we got growing in the garden. Right here is one of our garlic patches. As you can tell, we've got some spring flowers that are kind of popping up around them as well. But we've got some really nice garlic starts coming up all around. We should be ready for harvest coming up here in a few months as we get closer to summertime. And right here on the back side of the alleyway, we've got our other garlic patch. They seem to all be coming up really nice. Just waiting for this last push of winter time so that they can get growing really tall and forming those really nice garlic bulbs that we're all looking forward to in our garlic. So this last summer, we started out some leek starts that we let pretty much go throughout the winter time. And as I've found in growing leeks this last couple of years, is that seems to be the best way to get going. Get them going in the late summertime and let them grow throughout the winter. And I basically harvest these as we get close to spring. I mean, look at the stalk on that leek. These are gonna be nice. We'll probably pull these out real soon, make us some soup. And another thing I do during the winter time as well is I grow out radishes. Radishes and also carrots, which I've got some in our bed right up here. Grow and get themselves going during the fall, and as things cool down and get cold during the winter time, they just kind of stop growing. You don't have to worry about them much. We've got them as far as like bolting or anything like that, which becomes a problem during the summertime. This time, during the winter time, you just grow these things out and come out and harvest them anytime you're ready to have fresh radishes. So this last year we built these above ground raised bed garden boxes here and set up trellises. And we grew out some cucumbers and all of that. But as that was all done, we planted out some spinach, as we got growing up here in the front to grow during the winter time here. Got plenty of good greens still to harvest up, but as you can see here with some of the other ones are also going to seed. So I will let these plants seed out here a bit and see what kind of viable seed we possibly can get to regrow spinach with here this next season. But We got a lot of really good spinach to harvest up still. And then over here on this side here, as you can tell, we've got some parsley growing here. And right back behind there, growing right along the edge here, all the way around the back edge of the beds, we've got pea plants growing. Now this last fall, towards mid-fall or so, we planted out pea seeds and let the plants grow and get established. And then during the wintertime, they kind of go dormant. They don't really grow too much at all. It warms up a little bit, they kind of grow a little bit, but then it gets cold and they kind of go dormant again. But as it really warms up, as spring gets started here in a couple of weeks, these plants are going to really start to go wild, hopefully growing right up into that trellis a little bit and start producing us some really good early snow peas. My, it's nice to get out of the cold. The last cold that we should be seeing for this year. It's going to be nice to see some really warm weather coming up and get this growing season started. Now, first off, I just want to let you know, you're probably hearing some water sounds right now, but just to let you know, that's just my fish tank I got over here. This last winter, after losing my cat Carl, who was a great garden companion for us here on the Urban Gardener, link to his video right above right now, I decided to opt with fish. So we're going to be raising some fish. I got a couple of gouramis and a little catfish in there too. Got to have a catfish. But that's the sound that you're hearing right now. Today, I want to talk about growing microgreens. Growing microgreens inside the house here during the winter time. And before I do that, when we get into growing the microgreens, I wanted to show you a quick little video that I put together about growing some sprouts out of pickle jars. So alright, what we've got here in order to start our seed sprouting in a just small pickle jar that I have picked out here, I've got a 3-part seed mix. This is an organic radish, alfalfa, and broccoli mix. We've got a rubber band, some screen mesh, and some water. What we've got here is about a rounded tablespoon of our 3-part sprouting mix. We're going to add that to our jar. And then after that, we're going to add some water. And we're going to top it off with our screen mesh and put our rubber band over the top of it. Now we're going to let these seeds sit overnight for about an 8 to 10 hour period of time. And then in the morning, what we'll do is we'll drain this off, and then we'll go over the next step in our seed sprouting in our small jar here. So alright, it's the next day. We've had our seeds in this jar soaking for about 8 to 9 hours. Now, you can soak your seeds from anywhere to 6 to 10 hours. I wouldn't worry about it if it went to 12. Just don't forget about them and let them soak much longer than that. Now, what we have here is our wire mesh that we put over the top, is so that we can kind of swish those around a little bit and rinse them off a little bit with the water we already got in there. And the screen mesh will help us catch any seeds that try to get out. But better yet, pour it just a little bit slowly so that you're not dumping all of your seeds up into the mesh. Now that we've drained our seeds there, we're going to take more water, pour it right in there. Yeah, you might spill just a little bit, but we're going to swish it around again to rinse off those seeds just a little bit more. Let them settle just a little bit there. And then we'll pour it off again. Now once I got them in there, I kind of spread them out just a little bit across the bottom. And I get another one of these bowls here. I kind of set it so it's somewhat leaning upside down so that we can get all the rest of the water that's left in there to drain out and allow those seeds to kind of not necessarily dry off, but to not be soaking into the water. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this here and we're going to go put this up into a kind of warm and dark place for the next day or two. What you want to remember though is to do that process of rinsing these seeds off at least once or twice a day. Better if it's twice, but at least once a day so that these seeds do not gather mold as they're germinating. So we started these about the night before last, so technically it's about day 2.5. But as you can tell, those seeds are starting to sprout. We've got a lot of roots coming up out of the seeds. So all we need to do today is just give these seed sprouts a rinse. And then take them back upside down again, place them back up into the cupboard. We'll repeat this again tomorrow. So all right, we got day 3 now, and our sprouts are really popping out of the seeds there, creating a lot of volume inside of the jar. And as you can see, the ones that we had tilted upside down that got into the screen there are starting to kind of grow out of the screen a little bit. We'll kind of wash those a little bit back as we rinse them out once more. Alright, so there we go. Day 3 of our sprouts. They're looking really well. Check and see how they are doing here tomorrow. After tomorrow, we should be putting these into the light and getting them greened up. Now after a couple of days of being in the cupboard, what I did here today is I put them out on the windowsill. As you can see there, these sprouts are starting to green up. They're looking ready to be eaten. But if you want to, you can go ahead and rinse these out again and leave them out for another day or two. They will grow more in volume, but these are looking pretty good right here. So that's just a nice little brief tutorial about how I grow sprouts myself here at home. Now I just used a small pickle jar. You can use one of the taller, bigger ones if you want. Just double up the seed, but make sure that you rinse them off really well each day. You don't want mold growing on your sprouts, and don't forget them up in your cupboard. Now on to growing microgreens. I like to grow microgreens. I've just gotten started this last year, really kind of doing them myself. I do want to mention that I've got an iCard right up above right now for our friend Marc Bouchert-Colbert, who lives up in Portland, Oregon. He's got a really cool microgreen operation. It's a big one though, it's commercial. He's got a lot of different varieties of microgreens that he grows. I really encourage you to check out that episode. Here at my house though, it's just pretty much me. I don't need that kind of volume of growing microgreens, so I just use small containers. In fact, I just use cake pans you get at the dollar store. They're nice and cheap, they're small, and they provide just enough little space that we can get a little root system and grow our greens just to where we need them. So So I just basically use a general purpose potting mix for the soil for my microgreens. Now, I don't put any fertilizers or anything into this soil or potting mix, but if your potting mix already has some sort of fertilizer in it, that's fine. You just don't necessarily need it. We're not growing big full-size plants here. We're just growing small sprouts. So we only want them to get so big and the seedlings have enough energy to get them to where we need them to grow. So into our small cake pans that I have here, I just add some of our soil. Make sure it's all just about maybe a 1/4 inch from the top of the pan. So now that we've got all of our soil put into our pans, like I said, about 1/4 inch from the top, we're gonna need seeds. Now, the seed packets you buy at the store to make plants for your garden, they're just not gonna cut it for microgreens. What you're gonna need is something a little bit bigger. I encourage you to check out your favorite seed supplier and see what kind of microgreen and bulk seed offerings that they have. Now for us, we're going to grow out some radishes. I've got some broccoli. And for bigger seeds, you get bags. I've got some pea shoots here, as well as some sunflower shoots and some red beet microgreens. So now we're going to get up close here and I'm going to show you how I plant out these seeds for our microgreens, and then I'll show you the light station where they sit and grow until they're ready to be eaten. So for our first tray of microgreens, we're going to do red beets. Now red beets is a really cool seed. They're really rough around all edges. They're pretty good size. We just want to make sure we get a nice layer of them right across the top of our tray. So once we get a nice layer here, what we want to do is we want to add just a small layer of soil to top off that last 1/4 inch. Then you just want to water them in. Next up, we've got pea shoots. These are one of my favorite microgreens right here. Again, just put a nice layer across the top. All right, now that looks pretty good. You could layer them just a little bit thicker, but that should do pretty good for us there. Next up, we've got sunflower shoots. Now, these are just a black oil sunflower. Now, I'd recommend you get it from your seed supplier. I'm not too sure or how well the sunflower seeds that you would get that you would feed birds with or whatnot would work. But I got these from a seed supplier, so they're organically grown, should be great, not treated or anything like that. But sunflowers are a really good microgreen, got a nice little nutty flavor to them. Now our next microgreen is radish. These are a daikon radish variety here. Now it's a smaller seed. We're going to get a lot of microgreens off of this, so apply it just a little bit lighter. And last but not least, we've got some broccoli seed. Now these seeds are really, really small. You're not going to need too many of them, but you do want to make a nice layer across the top. There, that should give us plenty of broccoli greens. So here we have, as I've shown on other videos, my home do-it-yourself seed starting station, light station. It's just basic PVCs joined together, hanging shop lights. And those are, I believe, just T12s. And I get the brightest daylight bulbs and put in there. We've got a table here for the top. And then right below the table is where I grow the microgreens. So keep them right down below here. And we've got all 5 of our different microgreens planted out. And just make sure that I've got the lights really close to the trays, so that my little seedlings don't try to grow too leggy, too fast, trying to reach the light. So all right, we're just a little over a week later, and we've got us some nice microgreens. So yeah, just a short period of time later, we've got ourselves some really, really nice microgreens here. Now mind you, a couple of them, like our sunflower shoots here and our beet greens, could probably use just a little bit more time to grow and fill in just a little bit more. But these pea shoots and these radish shoots, and you know, maybe a day or so for the broccoli, but they're bursting right out. They're ready to get put into our salads. You know, like I said, I put mine in some salads. You could put them in smoothies and blend them up. You could juice them in your juices if you like. There's a lot of different ways to use your microgreens. We've got some really nice ones here. I think what we'll do is we'll cut into these pea shoots, which, like I said earlier, are one of my favorite microgreens. So all I'm gonna do with these pea shoots is take a pair of scissors, and we're gonna give this a really good haircut, right and low, right as close to the soil level as we can. And then what I'll do is I'll gather them up here in this strainer. Alright, there we are. Got them all cut back and got ourselves a nice, really good pile of pea shoots. Smell delicious. So alright, we've grown ourselves some really, really nice microgreens this winter here at home. And don't forget about those sprouts that we grew too in the pickle jars. Now these radish greens, I'm going to add to the pea shoots that we already have, but the sunflower and the beet greens that I've got here, I'm going to give those a couple more days, and maybe just about one more day on the broccoli shoots here. And then I'll add them to some things that I'm going to grow just a little bit later. But what I want to do now is ask you all to hit that like button. Give us a big thumbs up for this video. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything at all, any questions for me about anything or anything I might have missed that you have any interest about, hit me up in the comment section down below. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button and follow along with more garden adventures as we continue growing here on the Urban Gardener. And I'll see you all on the very next episode. right, let's do this. We're gonna start making episodes. We're gonna start getting this going, all right? Oh yeah, I almost forgot about this. Airplanes. It's been a nice little break, but I kind of miss some of these things for sure. Let's let this airplane pass by. Throwing on here on the urban garden. Try it again. That'll work. There's something in those. There's something in those.